Best Book Bits podcast brings you Louise McDonnell, one of the world's leading experts on digital marketing, founder of Sell on Social Media Academy and agency, and author of Facebook Marketing, The Essential Guide, 2021 Social Media Planner and Guide, and her latest book, 2022 Social Media Planner and Guide. Louise, thanks for being on the show.
Michael, thanks so much for inviting me.
No problem. Now, for my audience, we'll dive into the books in just a minute, but for my audience who don't know who you are, take us back in time to the younger years. Who is the 18-year-old Louise, and how did your story unfold in your 20s?
Well, I suppose when I left school, Michael, I really had no idea what I wanted to do. And so much so that I took a year off. And I decided to do a computer course just for a year. And I decided during that time I would do lots of work placement and, see how I felt about working in different industries. And so during that year, I found out lots of what I didn't ever want to do again. So I thought when I was young, I thought I was going to be a scientist. And I worked in a lab for 3 weeks, and I came out of 3 weeks after that lab and I said, oh my goodness, I never want to do that ever again. It was just so repetitive. I just couldn't cope. So after my year off, I went off and I studied languages and marketing in a local university. And I started my third year in college in France. And so, yeah, that was a wonderful experience. But after I left college, Michael, I have to tell you, I think fate intervened, and luck was certainly with me when I applied for a job in a company called EDI Factory. Now, I was young and green as they could be, and I just wanted to work in marketing. I actually didn't care what the company was. And this company was EDI Factory, and I got the job, and I went in on the first day. I expected that it was going to be a factory making this product called EDI, and they were going to be shipping it, and I was going to be involved in the marketing. But EDI is electronic data interchange. And that was like the earliest form of e-commerce and e-business. And I have to tell you, do you know, if you remembered watching Friends, do you remember Chandler and Friends? And he was the one that nobody really knew what he did out of his work. Well, I was like that in my Friends because nobody knew, including me, what EDI was. And it was before we were using the internet. It was before the internet was so much part of our lives. And it was a really difficult position because I was the only female and I was the only person in the company who didn't speak in X's and O's. And so I remember the first 6 months there just absolutely going to be, just really scratching my head. But then what I quickly realized was that the problem they had was that they couldn't talk to their customers. That when they talked to their customers' eyes would glaze over because they were speaking in X's and O's and nobody understood what they were saying. And so I quickly figured out that my job was to understand what the X's and O's were about and to communicate that in non-technical language to people who didn't want to understand X's and O's. And actually, that's what I do to this day. So I love all things technical. I spent the whole afternoon, downloaded a spreadsheet of somebody's ads for the entire year. I just sat there crunching figures, understanding what happened, why did that work that way, how can they approach it better. So I love technical things, and I love being able to explain them to people in a non-technical way. So what I really tried to do with my planner is I didn't want to have any fluff in it. So there's nothing there that I didn't want to be there. So I would take things out rather than put things in because I wanted it to be something that was concise, that was giving you a real blueprint and would help and be a practical tool you'd use every day. So that was my entry into the whole e-commerce, e-business world. And at that time, I used to tour around Ireland and I used to give talks to groups on what the internet was and how to use it for business and what e-business and what e-commerce were. And that's how kind of early it was in the whole process. So fast forward to 2009. So I had just come back from maternity leave after having had twins. And I don't know if you know, but in 2009 in Ireland, our economy crashed. So we were on the crest of a wave for years before that, in a period of our economy called the Celtic Tiger. And then in 2009, everything came crashing down. And on my birthday, I got called into the boardroom, and it was about 10 in the morning. And I honestly thought it was a bit early for cake, but I was ready for it. And then they made me redundant. So I left the office that day and I was walking down the stairs. I had 4 flights of stairs to walk down. And as I was walking down the stairs, it was like my heart was sinking further and further towards my toes. And I remember thinking, I'm based in the west of Ireland. I'm not going to get a job because the economy is falling apart. And I was at a senior level in this company working in marketing and communications. And I just knew there was no opportunities at all for me. And the creche bills were more expensive than the mortgage. And I just thought, what am I going to do? And so I decided I'd have to start my own company, that I would just have to do it for myself, that I couldn't depend on anybody. And so I started my own business. I was known in the area because I had spent 7 years working as the CEO of the local Chamber of Commerce. And I just put it out there that I was available. And I started working. I started helping people with their digital marketing. So for the last year that I had been in the business, because things, money was getting tighter all the time. So for the last year before I was made redundant, obviously before I went on maternity leave, I had done a lot of the work myself that I usually would have outsourced. So I had learned how to do search engine optimization. I had learned how to do email marketing. I had learned how to do Google Ads. I had learned how to understand Google Analytics. And I had started using social media for business. So what I found when I started my own business was in 2009, I was in a unique position that I understood business, but I also understood digital marketing. And so at that time, the people in charge of digital marketing in companies were IT people, but they didn't necessarily understand business and marketing. And so I was able to marry the two sides of the house, and I started my business, and I have never looked back. So
yeah, wow. What intro story there. I'm going to fill in some gaps as well. So I'll just recap. So when you left school, you've worked as a scientist in a lab for 3 weeks. I myself worked in a lab for 3 weeks as a scientist assistant. So when you said that, it really hit home. I worked in a yogurt, we're testing cultures every day, and I was there for 3 weeks, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely not for me. So how funny is that? We have a very similar background through there. Some of the other notes I took as well. When you left that job in 2009, when you got fired, did you have the kids at that time too, or were the kids not born yet?
So in 2009, I was just back from maternity leave.
Oh,
so
that's right.
Yeah,
wow.
they were.
Yeah, that would have hit. That would have hit home pretty hard as well. Coming home with the kids and not having a job, emotionally.
Oh, you're not having a job, and literally the creche bill was more expensive than the mortgage.
Yeah.
And my husband was also self-employed, and he was a tradesman working in the construction sector, which had fallen apart.
Yeah.
So it was, it was not what I expected on my birthday, anyhow.
Yeah. And whereabouts in Ireland are you from yourself?
So I live just outside a beautiful seaside village called Enniscrone in County Sligo. So it's the northwest of Ireland. So it's a beautiful part of the country. I live just a few kilometres from a 5-kilometre sandy beach that you can walk and run and sup and surf. And yeah, I do a lot of sea swimming as well. So yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, before we jump into the book, I want to talk about sort of the power of networking and how your skill set and your way of turning numbers into English. I think that was the skill. So you're turning engineer and technical people into just a plain old English, but and then communicating that with the broader audiences. But talk about how helping sort of the Irish community and businesses with that as well, and yourself putting yourself out there with networking. Can you expand on that a little bit about the power of networking with sort of local business?
So networking's always been really important to me. So I spent 7 years actually working as CEO of the Ballina Chamber of Commerce. So although I live in Sligo, I live just really close by to this town called Ballina. And, during that time, I really understood the power of working within a community and getting to know people across every sector within the community. And I found it was like at that time we would have worked a lot on tourism and industry and all things related to developing retail as well. So I did a huge amount of networking during that time, and I still have those connections to this day. So I think when it comes to networking, Michael, you get back what you put in. And I'm part of lots of different Women Inspire network, and part of another women networking group in Mayo and another one in Sligo. So I'll be very strong, and I do a lot of. I would attend a lot of events and speak at a lot of events for different networks as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, definitely. People have everything you need, and once people realize that all our goals and all our ambitions, all our desires reverse engineer back to people. So people are superior to everything. So yeah, network with the right people, and you never have to worry about anything else in your life. Now, I want to jump into how it unfolded after 2009. So did you start coaching first? You are the queen of the online courses. You've got dozens of courses out there. Or did the Facebook marketing book come out first? So how did it unfold from 2009 in the early stages of 2010 to 2015?
Yeah, so I started off, I won a contract for the National Tourism Authority within Ireland very early on in my career, in my business, and I was really busy working for them up and down all the western seaboard in Ireland. And then one day I got a call from a local development agency, and I knew the man in the agency from my time in the Chamber of Commerce, and he knew me well enough to say, "Louise, I have a load of people that need to know how to use Facebook for business. Would you mind putting together a course for me? I can't find anyone to do it." And his name was Frank Fullard. And I said, "Oh, geez, I don't know, Frank. I'm busy enough. I don't know if I want to do that." And he said, "Just please, Louise, would you do it for me?" I said, "Okay, Frank, I'll do it for you." And so I went and I created a course for Facebook marketing for business. And I delivered that course. And I actually then news spread of this course, and I delivered it not only for the local authority in Mayo, but in all over the whole western seaboard within Ireland. And I just delivered, at that time back in 2009, like Facebook was really the biggest social media network in terms of business. It still is today, but it was certainly back then. And what I found, Michael, was that sometimes, and I don't know if anybody here has ever done training, I know they're going to be able to, what's the word I'm looking for? They'll understand what I'm about to say. I would go into a course, to deliver a course, maybe it was 15 people in the room. And what you could find was that you could have somebody who was quite proficient at using Facebook, and then you would have somebody else who'd never been on it before. And then you have somebody else who hated it and never wanted to be on it. And so you had you had different levels of people within the course. And so what I found was that I always wanted to deliver training so that no matter who was in front of me in the room, that they got a benefit and they left the room better than, they knew more than when they came into the room. And so what I developed over time was a 6-step system. So no matter what stage you were in terms of your use of, and it doesn't just apply to Facebook, it applies to any social media channel. So this 6-step system, so whether you, Michael, come into a training course or an online training course or wherever it is, and you've never used any social media channel before, you'll be able to understand the system and you'll be able to apply it to whatever stage of the system that you are at. Because what can happen is this when it comes to social media. You can have, I like 3 avatars that I like to talk about. Avatar 1, somebody who has their head in the sand, knows they should be using social media and just doesn't know where to start. Avatar 2, somebody who's really busy on social media, busy producing content and being active on social media, but they're not getting sales and leads. And number 3, third avatar, somebody who doesn't want to do any content, just wants to run ads, but they're not getting any sales and leads either. And so what I say to people, any of those 3 avatars, is that here's how the 6-step system works. Step 1 is all about planning. Now, people hate planning, Michael. I don't know about you. People hate planning and they go, no, I don't, I know they don't want to do this. But honestly, if you're the avatar that has your head stuck in the sand and you don't know where to start, this is the number one place to start. So the first thing you do is you set smart business goals, and you link your social media goals and tactics back to these goals. So you have to be really specific on what you want to achieve. Why do you want to use social media? What is the business reason that you're using social media? Also in step 1, we profile our ideal customer, but at a very deep level. What are their pain points? What does life look like for them for now? And the reason we do that is that that's going to help us down the line create content and ads. So that's step 1. So if you're the avatar with the head stuck in the sand, starting with step 1 is going to get you going. Step 2 then is about social media optimization. So if you're the avatar that's very busy on social media, but you're not getting any results, any sales and leads, it could just be that you're getting everybody's attention, but they don't understand why they should do business with you, or they mightn't even understand what you're selling. So step 2 is about making sure that you're clear on your message and that you communicate that effectively, so that when you start producing social media content, that people understand why it is you're different and why they should buy your products or services. That's step 2. Yeah. Step 3 is all about social media content. So it's about learning that we just don't show up when we have something to sell, that we need to create different categories of content. So sometimes we need to just be building brand awareness, keeping our brand top of mind. Okay, so if you've got your social media channels optimized and your website optimized from step 2, if you then put out a post of your dog running on the beach, or yesterday I had the cat here in the chair behind me headbutting me, that post will drive as many sales and inquiries because people know what you do and you're just reminding them that you're there. So brand awareness content is so important. It's so important, and it's so important to show up week in, week out, and keep your brand top of mind. Then we need to position ourselves as experts. That's the consideration content. So as experts in our business, so we are expert at what we do and we forget what our customer doesn't know. So sometimes we need to be creating content which is going to help out our ideal customer. So think of your ideal customer's frequently asked questions and use that to create content for your social media channels, and build your campaigns on creating awareness around content which is going to impress them and to want them to connect with you and ultimately do business with you. This is all step 3 content. You need to sales content because you do need to sell sometimes. Okay, but your sales content needs to really be optimized for what's unique about your business, your products and services, and one clear call to action. And then advocate content is the 4th category of content that I talk about, which is produced by your most loyal customers. And that is, somebody saying, hey, Michael really helped me. After working with Michael, I generated X amount of sales in X amount of time. So that's your advocate content. So that's step 3, content. Step 4 of my 6-step system is about targeting. So now we go towards paid advertising. Because you can't run your business on hope. You can't cross your fingers and hope that the next social media post reaches everybody that you want it to reach, that wants to buy from you. You've got to pay. You've got to direct that at people that are most likely to be interested in your products and services. So step 4 is all about targeting. Step 5 is about running Facebook ads effectively, or running paid ads. It could be on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and Facebook, of course, includes Instagram. That's step 5. And then step 6 is about reviewing performance and informing future campaigns. So there's my 6-step system. So I build all my training courses around those 6 steps. And they're the steps that you're going to also see in my planner. So there's a workbook section, as you know, Michael, in the planner. And that kind of takes you through those 6 steps. Yep. Because that's the most effective way to work on your social media. Yeah,
perfect. I'm just going to recap that as well. So that's fantastic. So for people listening, Louise is just, it's book number 2. So you've done the 2021 planner, and the 2022 is out. It's absolutely amazing. And if any entrepreneurs, business owners out there, definitely have to purchase this particular book. It is going to make you money. It is going to simplify social media content. But what I got from those steps was, number one is plan. So talking about goals and vision. Number two, what I wrote down was optimize. So be clear on your content. Number three is make sure your brand's top of mind in awareness, and that also leads to positioning yourself as an expert with your ideal customers. Then I wrote down loyal customers, and want to make sure you get testimonies or testimonials from your top customers as well. And then targeting payday, so making sure that you are spending the money to reach the people that you need to reach. Those who pay attention, so there's no such thing as a free lunch. And then the last couple too was running ads, and then last is review as well. Would that be right, Louise?
Yeah.
With that little
so
recap?
Plan, optimize, content, target, run ads, review.
Beautiful. Now we'll jump more into the book in a second, but just to segue back into the courses. So you are the queen of online courses. You've got dozens of them online. Obviously, you told us the backstory of how it started, but how many courses do you have online, and what sort of segments are there in? What are your sort of top courses that you run and people consume?
Well, most people will access my courses through my Sell on Social Media Academy. Yeah. So I run an online social media academy, and I have businesses actually all over the world in this academy. And I have, of course, my signature 6-step system training is within the academy. So there's obviously the 6 steps of that. And then I do other courses which would complement the 6-step system. So even within the content one, there might be 5 or 6 courses. There might be one on copywriting, there might be one on ad creation. We do lots of courses on Canva for graphics, Canva for video. And then we would break down the social media channels. So we'll do courses on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, on Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads. So there's everything that you could possibly want is there in my academy. And the way my academy works, Michael, is that once you're a member, you've access to all of the training. And I do live training twice a month. So members can show up live, and then they can ask me, questions at the end of the training. I record everything and it goes into the training library. And then I do Q&A calls once a month as well. So kind of like a masterclass once a month for my members. So so all my courses are available. That's generally how people access them, is through the academy.
Yeah, perfect. And where can people sort of find the academy before we jump into the next thing?
Yeah, so it's www.sellonsocial.media.
Yeah, great. Couple last questions before, not last questions, but a couple questions before we jump into the book. Now, are websites dying in your opinion? Is it, or are people more focused on social media or even funnels with digital marketing? So are websites still relevant for business owners, entrepreneurs, and in your opinion, are they dying?
It really depends on the business, Michael. So there's quite I would come across a lot of businesses that I would say to them, they said, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spend a few €1,000s on a website. And I'm like, you know what? If I were you, I wouldn't. I just focus on your social media, and you can run it perfectly. You can achieve everything you want to achieve on social media alone initially, and, get up and running and develop a customer base and start income coming, and then develop a website. Sometimes when businesses are starting out, they don't even develop really good websites because they don't really understand how their business is going to unfold until they trade for, I would say, a few years. So there are some businesses who will never need a website, and then there are other businesses. I have 3 websites, so I currently have 2, and I have another one in development. So the difference between social media and having a website is that with your website, you have full control over how it looks. So you have full control of how you present that to your customers, and you can optimize it so that it can perform well in the search engines for lots of different searches. Whereas with social media, your visibility in the search engines is always ever going to be limited. In saying that, that's not going to matter to some businesses. So it really just depends on the business.
Well, I want to talk about my business for just 2 seconds, so I might get a 2-minute coaching from yourself on the podcast. So just with my website, bestbookbits.com, I only use the website because I researched my first book, Success in 50 Steps. I wrote it in 2010, and then I rewrote it for the next 10 years and read 500 books and did 500 book summaries. I used the website as just a hard drive to upload the written book summaries. And it was just for me. And then basically I didn't realize what SEO, or I didn't realize what long tail SEO evergreen keywords were. And then I started to get traffic and I was like, hang on a second, what's happening here? How are people finding this particular website? And then I thought, you know what? I don't want to read my book summaries back. I want to listen to it. So I recorded the book summaries into a microphone just like this. And I uploaded it on Mixcloud, which was another hard drive on the web. And again, people could search for a particular book title and they were coming across these summaries. And I thought, okay, I'm going to create some videos. So I put it on YouTube. And then again, I didn't realize that Google owned YouTube and the same SEO long tail keywords people found. All of a sudden, I started to get some traction. And then a few years later, publishers started to reach out to me with authors. And then here we are now running the world's largest free book summary website. And my website is terrible. So I do apologize. There'll be a new website coming. But what I'm trying to get at is my Spotify was never around. So Spotify is ranked top 40 in the global podcast with the summaries as well. And then YouTube is doing really, really well too. So yeah, to your point, websites aren't necessarily the go-to. It's more brand awareness. Does that make sense, what I've sort of said? Am I sort of correct?
Yeah, like so you will use social media to drive traffic back to your websites, but your websites are like a library in themselves, that a repository and they're going to they're going to perform well in search, and the more content you've there and the more it's optimized, the more visibility you're going to gain in search. So people use search to find products and services. Social media is just different. They're not necessarily searching for products and services when they're using social media, but we have the opportunity to get in front of them when they're there. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, is website marketing sort of still relevant? Do you tell your customers, obviously depending on what business they're in, but is it still relevant, website marketing?
Of course, yeah. So, like if you're an e-commerce business and you're using your online store to sell your products, it's massive. Yeah. In fact, the pandemic has made it even more relevant. So it's a combination of, for me, when I'm working with my clients, it's a combination of social media and website marketing. So, in fact, step 2 of my system, when I say social media optimization, you have to optimize your website as much as your social media channels. So if your social media is well optimized, but your website isn't, you're going to drive traffic back to a website that won't convert. So you have to look at every part of your digital marketing strategy. And email marketing is another thing that's so relevant and so important. So when you're running an ad campaign on social media, well, there's the time then to back it up with an email campaign to your loyal customers, because they're actually more likely to respond if they get the email and see the ad.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we know about the changes in sort of digital marketing over the last decade. What are some of the big changes you think we'll see as a whole this year and the coming few years?
So, without doubt, the iOS update last year had a huge impact on online advertising. So it was, I think, a real game changer. It was oh my God, total pain in the ass for advertisers, because their advertising reporting was less accurate. And it was delayed. So people still come back to me now and they go, gosh, Louise, from September onwards, our ads didn't seem to work anymore, so we stopped using them. And I'm like, I bet you the ads were still working, but the tracking just wasn't as accurate, or it was delayed. So the iOS update from Apple caused consternation within Facebook and Instagram because of this ability of losing the tracking. And I think going forward, that is going to be a trend that continues, because what Apple did was, it bugged me because I'm an advertiser. But at the end of the day, people don't like being tracked. And that's what it comes down to. And Apple recognized that, and they gave people an easy way out of being tracked. So if I go to somebody's website and I'm on an Apple device, I can say, don't track me. Okay. Totally. So if you're running an ad, you can't, and it's harder to track the activities you've taken on that website. And I think going forward, we're going to see more of this. So with Google and cookies and all of that. So I think the arsenal of the digital marketer is going to be affected by that. So going forward, it is a challenge. that we as digital marketers are going to have to face. Now, like as I've always said in my academy and to all my members, like it's Facebook have a problem there. Like they're going to solve that. They've got way more resources than we have. So I do presume that they have already started putting measures in place to help us track our ads more effectively. You'll also see a move towards a lot of in-app ads. So rather than driving somebody away from Facebook and Instagram, that rather than driving them, let's say, to your website to get them to fill out a contact us form, you might do a lead form on Facebook and Instagram, because that's actually easier to track now, easier to measure it. Or in-app shopping. So obviously it's only available in the States on Facebook and Instagram at the moment. But the more that Facebook or Meta, I should call them now, can keep people in app, the easier it is to track performance for advertisers.
Yeah, perfect. Any other? I've read your book and it's an amazing book. It's a half education and then it's half, hey, you need this book. Just like you need, one of the digital marketing books by your side every day to say, this is what I've done daily to make sure my social media strategy is on point. But any other big themes for sort of 2022? I know you mentioned in your book probably 6 or 7 different themes that are coming out this year.
Big themes. So diversity and inclusivity is really big this year. According to a survey carried out, it said that 54% of consumers did not feel culturally represented in online advertising, and 71% expect brands to promote diversity and inclusion in their online advertising. So this is a big theme in 2022. And what I was encouraging people to do within my book is to really consider how, when you're running your ads, when you're running even your social media posts, or you're selecting the images for those graphics, that you're really mindful of, selecting images which are inclusive. Another big theme would be eco-consciousness. So eco-consciousness is massive in 2022. And I know there's a lot of businesses out there that themselves are eco-conscious and ethical, and sometimes they forget to tell people about it. And so one of my messages from the book is that if you are eco-conscious, if you are using eco-friendly products and natural ingredients, and you have transparency and sustainable practices within your business, well, it's really important to tell people, because you will gain so much trust from people, and you'll warm cold prospects up to you so much faster if that is also something which matters to them. Of course, other online shopping is a trend which is set to continue. So Shopify tells us that the pandemic has shifted the move towards online shopping by as much as 5 years. So, and this, I know this is true, because if anybody's listening in to this podcast, just think about the people that before the pandemic would never have shopped online. And I'm thinking of older age groups, actually. I'm thinking of people that, before the pandemic, it just wouldn't have occurred to them. And now, people of that you never would have expected to shop online before have shopped online, have found it was a good experience. And, once you do it once, it's so much easier to repeat it. So I think the trend towards online shopping is huge, but that's for products, but also for service delivery. So, there are people who never would have done an online training course or an online coaching, or, and I think it just opens up the world of possibilities for not just consumers, but also for service delivery, So you may be located in, a remote part of the world, but you can do business with anyone. So that trend towards online business and online shopping will continue, and that's as a result of the pandemic. And then, of course, as I said, privacy is a big one in 2022, but also remote working. This whole notion of a remote workforce. So in my agency, I have only remote workers. So I don't ever want to have an office again that people come to. It is just, we love remote working. One of the girls who works with me, so I live in the west coast of Ireland, and she hops between Ireland and the UK. She goes, I think I'll live in Liverpool for a few weeks. I'm like, I don't care where you go, where you living, as long as you can do the work. And so she's like, okay, I think I'll hop down to London. I think I'll go here. And I'm like, yep, whatever you want. So this whole notion of not being tied to a location. And again, like, I suppose from a remote part of the world where I live, I can run my business to any part of the world, and nothing is holding me back. So that's a trend that is also set to continue.
Yeah, perfect. So what I got from that is, diversity and inclusivity matters. So obviously making sure that, you're not excluding people and that you are diverse as possible. Augmented reality for business. Yeah, that I think. What do you know about Meta? So we know Meta, Facebook has changed its, corporate name to Meta, and we understand the vision that they're trying to do. What are your thoughts on it, or what do you know about what's to come in that particular space in augmented reality?
So I know they've been talking about augmented reality for years now. So one of the things that Mark Zuckerberg demonstrated some time ago was this notion of actually like being in an augmented reality room. And so you and I could join the room as our avatars, or we could sit down together and it would feel like we were in the same room, even though like we're obviously thousands and thousands of kilometers apart from each other. So that's one of the things they've talked about forever. How it's showing up now in social media is kind of more like the fun filters that you see. So, you go onto Instagram and you can, put on the funny ears, and kids love that. Like the younger generation love that. And it's important for them, for Meta to include that, because they need people to keep using their platform. So a lot of those augmented reality things are kind of cool and fun and, good fun. But I personally have done a lot of furniture shopping recently. And one thing I love about augmented reality was being able to look at what a piece of furniture was going to look like in my sitting room before I purchased it. So that to me is just that's super. Like that is just obviously going to feed into the online shopping as well, so.
Yeah, I actually have a background in selling prestige motor vehicles. Anyway, it's a long story, but let's say it's a brand called Mercedes-Benz, which everyone knows, but going into augmented reality and not test driving vehicles, but walking the digital showroom with augmented reality. That would be pretty cool because everything is going online now. You can build the cars online, order the cars online from your house. So I do envision augmented reality coming in to purchase motor vehicles as well.
Yeah, and like the other thing we have to remember as well, Michael, is that the generations that are coming up now, like they've just grown up in this whole digital world, and their rate of adoption is even so much faster than ours. My kids ask me all the time, "Oh, what age were you when you got your first phone?" And I'm like, guys, I was in my mid-20s. Whereas, they've been used to technology since they could move their hands, they've been taking your phone and stuff.
I admit my son just got his first phone and he's 3 years old, so love me, hate me, but the biggest thing, he's been on me and my wife's phone since he was 1. So when I say been on the phone, like he would take it from us and he would watch the kids' YouTube. And then we wanted our phones back and we couldn't get our phones back, so he's got an iPad. And then we eventually, okay, here's a small little version of the iPad, which is a spare phone. Now it's just got one app on it, which is YouTube for kids. That's it. So hate me or love me, but my son is more of a teenager. But anyway, we diverse. So yeah, kids going forward are going to be very, very adept to the new technologies coming out, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. It's how it's what they've grown up with.
Yeah. Now let's dive into, because you are the Facebook marketing queen, and I apologize. You've done it for 13 years, so yeah, you own that space, and you wrote a book on it. So let's jump into some predictions for 2022 with Facebook. Now I'll give you a couple that I got from the book. You talked about Facebook Live, and you also talked about short form video and private communities. Can you touch on 3 of those aspects? So Facebook Live, what are your predictions?
Yeah, well, Facebook Live, I suppose it's not new. Facebook Live's been around forever, but it's still really important in 2022. So people are 3 times more likely to show up to a live broadcast than they are a broadcast that is no longer live.
Yeah.
And so I know a lot of businesses that we've worked with in my agency and in my academy have really, really built massive, massive followings through use of Facebook Live. So showing up consistently with really, really valuable content and growing a global audience as a result. So Facebook Live is your friend. Like, think about it, Michael. Like 20 years ago, imagine if someone said, oh, you'll just be able to hop on a platform with endless possibilities of reaching people, and it's not going to cost you anything. Like, it's just crazy. Like, we can hop on Facebook or Instagram, any of those, and go live, and we can broadcast. It's like we have our own TV stations.
Absolutely. I don't do live because, I don't know, but one of my friends, shout out to Tony Walsh, he's a professional mortgage broker, but also a DJ and runs a radio station. He puts his Facebook Live on while he's driving a car, listening to music and not saying anything and just bopping along. And I watch, and people are watching, going, I'm just watching a mate just bopping along to some music while driving the car. So yeah, Facebook Live is it's a funny one. But yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, like businesses can use it in so many ways they don't think about it. Like, so if you're a fashion retailer, why not once a quarter do a live fashion show? Here's the new trends, and do it all live and have different, like you would a fashion show, but just do it live on your Facebook.
And should we tell our audience that we are going live? Like, should it be like Friday, 8 p.m. going live, be there? Like I went to a book launch recently for an author, and she put it out that this is the date, this is the online book launch, and everyone was there, and it was live. It was a live Zoom book party meeting with music and people, and it was really, really fun. So should people just go on live, or should they actually tell their audience, hey, I'm going to be live doing this?
No, you treat it like it's a show, Michael, and you got to build your audience. If you just show up live, people aren't going to know.
Yeah, got it, correct. Yeah, that's what I thought.
So I know that a few years ago, a company did it, and they called it Girls' Night In. Yep. A girls' night in, and they got some influencers in their local area and some other experts in beauty and hair, and they were like an online, or they had like a bricks and mortar store and an online store, and they built, like, for 2 weeks, they get your girls over, get a takeaway, and then they had special offers with a takeaway in their local town, and and they would just sell out of all the clothes that would feature. So that's one way you can use Facebook Live. I myself had a live launch for my planner. So I built it like a show. So I had guests talking about, I had an influencer talk about influencer marketing. I had another lady talk about how she used Facebook Live to grow her business worldwide. And I had another lady talk about how she used paid advertising to transform her bottom line. So, and like that, I spent 2 weeks driving traffic to make sure that they would be there, and then give people a reason to turn up live. Say, you turn up live, I'm going to give away 3 prizes. I'll give away this, I'll give away that.
Got it.
And then once you have everyone live there, you're like, share this, and that's how you can use live really, really effectively. So I love live. Yeah, live is really good. That's live. Short form video. Short form video. So the type of video that you would see perform really well on TikTok or Instagram. So that short form video, obviously you need to adapt the sizes, but it works really, really well for Facebook ads. So short form video, because people in 2022 just don't have any attention span. And if you have a video that with even a twinkling star or something moving in it, you're more likely to hold people's attention. So when you think about your 3-year-old, when your 3-year-old was probably 6 months, you probably shook things in front of their eyes just to get their attention if you were trying to feed them. It's like we're doing that now, but to adults with short form video. And then private communities as well are really important, because people are less likely now to comment on public posts or to share public posts. They may click on them, they're still there and they're still watching, but they like to do the silent interactions, unless they're like maybe in a group, like a private community, where they feel safe and where they can share their thoughts and their feelings openly. And brands that use private communities can do them really effectively. So in my academy, I have a private community on Facebook. It's a private group. And it's a really safe place where people can ask questions, they can seek support, they can say, hey, I created this graphic in Canva, what do you think? Will I use it? And I'll feedback, but equally all the members of the community will give their opinion as well. So private communities, again, it's not new, but it's certainly strong. It was strong in 21 and it will be strong continuing into 2022.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks for sharing. And obviously we know Facebook owns Instagram, and it's probably one of the best purchases that they made in the last decade. But yeah, launched in 2010, 1.2 billion users, as we know. Predictions for 2022 for Instagram. You sort of wrote in the book, and some of the notes I took was Instagram stories, the rise of Reels. We talked about the shopping tab already, and visual brand story. And so tell me more about sort of the rise of Reels. I've been seeing a lot of that lately.
Yeah, so the way people say to me, well, what's the difference between a reel and a story? So the way I explain it is that your most loyal fans are likely to see your stories, and people that don't know you are likely to see your reels.
Got it.
Okay, so your Instagram stories are going to reach your existing following, and maybe beyond that, depending on if other people share it or due to hashtags, all that kind of thing. But if you create a really good quality reel and you tap into trending music and get the timing right, and it's good quality production that you can do on your phone, you can really get like amazing organic reach with reels. And they're fun, so the reels are really similar to TikTok and TikTok videos and Instagram reels are so similar. And yeah, I would say it's a really good exercise to watch reels, watch what your competitors are doing, watch what the leaders in your sector are doing, and then use that as inspiration to start creating your own reels.
Yeah. Yeah, great. And then the other one you've got, the notes I took was the shopping tab. So only in the US right now. Is it going to come out globally, you think, soon? Or?
Yeah, so the shopping tab is there for everybody, but it's at the moment it's within America that you can shop in app. That's the difference.
Yeah, got it.
So yeah, the shopping tab is there. I use it all the time. It's amazing what shows up in my shopping tab. It just makes me shop. But what people don't realize is that even anywhere in the world, if you have uploaded your Facebook shop, your Instagram shop, and you've got your products on it, there's a link from there back to your e-commerce store. So links on Instagram don't work in the main stories or on your grid, but they will in the shopping tab, and they will now in your stories. That's a change to Instagram stories, which just came in late 2021.
Yeah, perfect. Now I want to talk about a social media platform that everyone knows, but I've only started to get back into it in the last sort of 3 to 6 months, and that's LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn was purchased by Microsoft for $26 billion. So we know it was sort of set up in 2003 for networking with other professionals to develop their career and reputation. So I think it's got close to over 700 million followers. What are your thoughts on LinkedIn? What do you know about it, and where's it going, and how are people using that now for better sort of organic reach with their social media post?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is a really good platform for business to business, or even for business to consumer, but you're looking to develop your, business to business connections. And what's really powerful about LinkedIn is that it pulls on your past educational and work connections to help you with your current role. So a question I get asked a lot is, I'm starting my new business. Should I just close down my LinkedIn profile and start again? And I'm like, absolutely not. Because the people you went to school with, the people you went to college with, the people who you've worked with all along through your career are the first people who are going to recommend you to other people. So LinkedIn is really powerful from that. That's what makes it powerful, and that's what makes it different. So I have seen businesses, one example I always remember there was a guy as a consultant, and he was trying to get into this blue chip company, and he had tried everything. So, with these large blue chip companies, they don't necessarily have a reception. They don't answer the phone. If you send in an email to HR, you never hear back. And so he just had practically given up trying to get, inside the door of this blue chip company. And so what he did is he looked down it through LinkedIn, and he noticed that he had done a training course, a 6-week training course a few years beforehand. And somebody who worked in the company had also done the course with him. So he just sent them a message, and he said, hey, we met on that course, and, I would really like to speak to the person in your company who's responsible for whatever. And he got in the door, and within a week he had the contract. So there is the power of, LinkedIn at work. So LinkedIn is really powerful. You can also, the LinkedIn ads, you can target people based on their job title, based on their location, so it is absolutely wonderful for business to business. In terms of what's working in 2022, I have to say I'm really astounded with the impact of running polls on LinkedIn has had. So the organic reach from polls on LinkedIn is absolutely massive. So if it's something, you can adapt, incorporate into your strategy, I would strongly recommend it.
Yeah, wow. Do you run any LinkedIn courses, or do you have any online that people can purchase or consume?
Yeah, so again, within my academy, one of the courses on LinkedIn for beginners. So it's really how to update and create your personal profile on LinkedIn. And in the next few months, we're planning to roll out LinkedIn 101 advertising for business. So that's a follow-on.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'm definitely going to get my teeth into that, because that's something that I'm finding that in the professional space, especially I work with, authors like yourself and publishers, that I can connect easy and professionally with them. Instead of, you go to Instagram, you get a bit of fun, you go to Facebook and you get family. So different platforms have different sort of environments where people have different personas as well. I want to talk about probably one of the last ones, which is TikTok. So originally launched as Musical.ly. Gary Vee talks about it quite a lot. I think he's invested in it as he does. What do you know about TikTok? Where is it going? Is it owned by China? What's happening? Over 1 billion users. What are your thoughts? What is your summary on TikTok?
TikTok is just a real fun social media platform. It's where a lot of kids hang out, and of course their audience is expanding all the time. I have to say I really enjoy it. I love the content on TikTok. It's just such fun. It's those fast moving, fun videos, trending music. What's not to love? In fact, I say to people in my academy, I say, if you want to learn how to create video, just join TikTok. And if you never are successful on TikTok, but you learn how to put together professional, short form video, then it's worthwhile. So I think TikTok has really moved mainstream. As you see, even they sponsored the Euros, the Euro soccer tournament last year here over in Europe, and it was just absolutely everywhere. So I just love watching that in mainstream media to see what's happening. So I think they've made a lot of really good strategic moves. I think it's really good. I see I see all the kids on it. I see my own children on it. I see the skills that they have been, that they have been nurturing for years now. So I know when I need help with TikToks and with Reels, I go to my 13-year-old daughter, and she's not long telling me what's what.
Got it. Yeah, perfect. Now, I've never downloaded TikTok. I've never used it. People tell me I need to do it, but I want to jump into the last social media platform, and people don't realize it is a social media platform, and it's the best one out there. And I'll tell you why. It's because I'm on it. And that's YouTube. So YouTube is my favorite. I actually do YouTube consulting as well with people trying to get their first sort of 10,000 subscribers. Now, founded in 2005, we know the story of Google purchasing YouTube. Now, what people don't understand is that YouTube is evergreen. So I'll let, you're the social media expert, so I know I can talk about this for days, but tell me about YouTube. What makes it different, and why it's still relevant and will be around in sort of the next 5 to 10 years, we are hoping. YouTube. So
let's say that you create a really nice educational video, or a video that is good for your brand. Well, my advice to people is I would put it up on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn first, because it will have an organic reach for about a week or two, and then it's had its day on those social media platforms. And then I'd go to YouTube and I'd upload it and I'd optimize it for search. So you know this, Michael, you do consultancy on it. So the title of the video needs to have important keyword phrases so that, Google knows what to index that video for. And the first 156 characters or so of the description is important as well. And you're right. It's like it's a library. It'll live there forever. So if somebody's looking up, how to change a light bulb or how to plant a bulb in the garden, they'll find that on YouTube. Whereas it'll, so that YouTube is really powerful from that perspective. It's the library. It's
also to cut you off, it's one of the ones that actually pay you when you don't have to do anything. So like I'm getting paid from videos from 5 years ago because YouTube force you to monetize after a certain point as well. It's not that you have to. They will run ads even if you don't want to monetize. So a lot of people don't realize that it's not that people are trying to make money. It's YouTube have forced ads if you've got high ranking videos.
Very good. Yeah. Very good.
Sorry to cut you off in thought, but continue with what you're saying.
So that's I think YouTube is amazing, and I think the businesses just don't realize the power of it, and they don't realize oftentimes the way that they describe what's in the video is so important. And again, like you were talking earlier on about your website and YouTube, to even embed that video from YouTube on your website is really going to help your website perform even better for search as well. So YouTube is all powerful.
Yeah, now perfect. Thank you for wrapping that up. And I know it's all in the book as well. Now, you've got the book in your hand. Is that correct? Can you hold that up for people to see the cover? Yeah, that's great. Now, I've read the book. I purchased the book. It's amazing. I use it for my business as well, and I will start doing more. Now, go to February. I want you to open the book. I want you to go to February 2022 because we're a couple of days away from February. Why do we have so many funny days every single day? So can you go through some of the funny days that people might not realize? And I'll give you the first one. Obviously, Black History Month, and we understand, but National Freedom Day, continue. Now, what are the next days that people can tag and use to get their name out there?
So on the 2nd of February, we have Groundhog Day. Yep. The 3rd, we have National Golden Retriever Day. On the 4th, which is Friday, we have World Cancer Day. Then the next day, we have World Nutella Day. Then after that, it's the National Time to Talk Day. And then on the 7th, it's National Send a Card to a Friend Day. 8th is Safer Internet Day. Then after that, it's National Pizza Day.
I will post on National Pizza Day. That's my favorite food in the world. So.
Yeah, so what I encourage people to do is to use these as inspiration. So you're not going to, on social media, it's about quality rather than quantity. So we don't necessarily want to be posting every single day. We want to post maybe two or three times a week, and to make those posts really count, and make that when people see you posting that they pay attention. So for example, like World Cancer Day, if you're a holistic therapist or if you're a pharmacist, you could give some nice, timely advice on that day. Or maybe if you're a cancer survivor, you could share a personal story. And sharing it on that day and using the hashtags on that day is going to make that post more successful. Like the World Nutella Day. Okay, if you're a restaurateur or a cafe owner, or you're a chef or you're a nutritionist, again, you might want to share a recipe and you might want to make it timely for that day. So, like, again, Safer Internet Day. So I know my accountant, I was going through this with her, and she's going to do a post. I had just thought Safer Internet was going to be like IT consultants, but she was like, oh no, well, I can share with people how they can save their accounting data and how they can, safeguard it online. So, and again, with National Pizza Day, you could create recipes. There's so many days there, like even obviously Valentine's Day or Random Act of Kindness Day. Like you could build a whole campaign around that depending on your business.
Correct, yeah. And it was a way for me to learn as well. So every day I'm learning something new, but putting out educational pieces of content, you're, educating other people that it's Love Your Pet Day. So take a photo with your pet, put it on there. And then the other people then start doing that post and going, oh, I didn't know it was Love Your Pet Day. And, you're teaching people new days to put on their calendars. So I really love that. Yeah, and you've got a day for everything in that calendar too. So now where can people find and buy the book? And who is this book for? So it might not be for people who even run businesses, but people that want to have a personal brand or, become a social media person or just increase their followers. Who is the book for, Louise?
It's for anyone who wants to grow sales and leads from social media. So I would have a lot of, obviously, small businesses, medium-sized businesses. You would have business owners, or you would have people who are working on the marketing or social media within an organization. I also have quite a lot of nonprofit organizations who are using it, business organizations, business development organizations. I have a university who's always on to me. They love it. Yeah. So, and actually also really well used I found my last 2021 planner on lists of recommended readings for university students as well. So
awesome.
Yeah, so which was really lovely. But yeah, mostly for businesses or nonprofit organizations who want to use social media more effectively.
Awesome. Now, I've got a couple of random questions before we wrap up. We're sort of nearly hitting the hour mark. Now, are you aware of the TV show Come Dine With Me? Yep. So if you were to host a dinner party with 3 people, dead or alive, from the future, who would they be? What would you serve them, or where would you take them? So 3 people.
Oh, Jesus, Michael. It's 8 o'clock at night here on a Friday. I don't know. Who would I have? 3 people that I would bring to dinner. I can't even think. I'm going to be useless. You know what? I suppose after the pandemic, I think I'd sit down with my friends, because there's some people I just haven't seen in years now.
Who would they be?
So yeah, I would pick some of my friends. I'm not going to name names in case they listen to this. What would I serve? I serve a really good homemade pizza in my wood-fired pizza oven. Beautiful. What else did you ask me?
No, that's it. Yeah. So you would have some friends and some pizza and maybe a couple of bottles of wine. That sounds like
I might stretch myself to a few bottles of wine as well.
Now, where is the best place people can buy the book? Is it your personal website or is it Amazon? Where's the best place?
So it's only available on Amazon Book Depository. I don't have it on my website. Yeah.
Perfect. Done. Well, Louise, thank you for being on the Best Book Bits podcast. And to my audience, go out, follow Louise, learn from her. She is the real deal, been around for a long, long time in this particular space. So thank you for being a guest on the Best Book Bits podcast, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Michael.
All right. We'll speak soon.